Hello, I'm Gwen Hill from Pine Ridge Baptist Church Sunday School Department, Ladies Class. We are studying Exodus. We are on the 31st chapter. We're doing it a chapter at a time as much as we can. Today, we find Moses at the top of Mount Sinai talking to God, listening mostly to God. And we find the Lord has completed his instructions for how to build a tabernacle, how to equip the tabernacle, how to dress the priest, who the priests are, and how to dedicate, how to consecrate both the tabernacle and the priest, how to anoint them. And now he's getting a little practical with Moses. I want to think that Moses at this point is just almost to the point of being overwhelmed. There is a lot that is being asked of him and his leadership. And I've laughed to my Sunday school class. I said, if I was Moses, I would be concerned that I wasn't getting it right. And I can hear me interrupting God as soon as God kind of hesitated between phrases, saying, wait a minute, Lord, wait a minute. Let's make sure I've got this right. Let me repeat this back to you, what you want. The patience of our God, the love of our God. It's manifest on this mountain. He is trying his best to love these people, and he wants them to have a relationship with him and he with them. He wants to come among their midst to kind of contain himself, if you would, into a tabernacle. This God of the universe is willing to abide in a tabernacle, to be close to his people because of the love he has for them. We are getting to the point in this chapter where he's going to be talking to Moses about, Moses, you're not by yourself. Verse 1. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And I have filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, in understanding, in knowledge, and all manner of workmanship, to design artistic works, to work in gold and silver and bronze, in cutting of jewels, for setting in and carving wood, and to work in all manner of workmanship. He said, Moses, I've almost overwhelmed you with all the details that how the tabernacle is supposed to look, how ornate it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to be made of. He said, but you're going to have a helper. Bezalel. Bezalel. The name means known of God. Bezalel is a great builder, and he's known in the Bible along with Solomon as great builders. And God knew of the concerns that Moses had. He probably was very much aware of Moses's anxiety, and he wanted to alleviate that. He says, you're not by yourself. There's this man in the tribe of Judah. I've already selected him, Moses. You don't have to go looking for him. I've already selected him. I've already filled him with the Holy Spirit. And I've already given him a vision of what he is to build. The Lord doesn't ask us to do anything that he won't equip us to do. Sometimes he asks us to step out on faith. Someone asks you to do something that you know would be honoring to God, and you feel like it is just totally out of your comfort zone, but you really feel like maybe God's wanting you to do that. Go ahead. He'll give you skills, or he'll give you someone to walk up beside you and guide you. He doesn't give you a task and walk away and leave you. He doesn't do that. He loves you too much for that. And I like the idea. I've got a granddaughter that's very artistic, and I like that God is calling out. Among the first ones he calls out is the artistic man Bezalel. He knows how to do so many things. Look at the list that he knows. He does artistic work. He works in silver and gold and bronze. He knows how to cut jewels, and he knows how to make the settings. Do you remember the ephod and the stones that are in the ephod and the filigree settings that those stones are going to be in there? Guess who's going to mastermind that? That's going to be Bezalel's work. He says he's also good in carving wood and to work in all manner of workmanship. Those tables of acacia wood that are going to be very ornate and then coated with gold, it's going to be some of Bezalel's best work. And in verse 6, God says, and I, indeed I, God says me, I have appointed with him Ahololab. He is the son of Ashmanach and of the tribe of Dan. And I have put wisdom in the hearts of all who are gifted artists, that they may make all that I have commanded you. As we have gone through this study and we talked about the curtains that would be made, the thickness of them is wide as a man's hand, the span of his palm. 3 big curtains like that. The Holy of Holies, the curtain that separated the Holy of Holies from the holy place, and then the curtain that separated the holy place from the courtyard, and the one that separated the courtyard from the rest of the people. All of those were very ornate. And God is saying here, I've tagged them. They're there. They know their skills. They're ready to work. Moses, they're ready. He says, the gifted artisans, that they may make all that I have commanded you, the tabernacle of meeting, the ark of the testimony, the mercy seat that sits on it, and all the furniture in the tabernacle, the table and its utensils, the pure gold lampstand with all of its utensils, and the altar of incense. All of these, it sounded so complicated, Moses, as I gave you the directions for these and the instructions for these. You have artisans at the base of the mountain that are ready to go to work as soon as you get down and you tell them to. Other things they're going to do is they're going to build in verse 9, 10, and 11 the altar of burnt offering with all of its utensils and the laver and its base. The garments of ministry, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments for his sons to minister as priests, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense for the holy place, according to all that I have commanded you, they shall do. Moses, you don't have to do it all. You've got a team. You've not only got a team, you've got the team. You've got a very inspired, talented group of people that are ready to go to work. We've had people who joined our church that the pastor always asks, is there something that you want to say to the congregation? And we've had 2 or 3 couples come in and say, we want to start work. We want to work with you. That's what Moses is hearing. You're not by yourself. God never sets you to do his work, that he puts you there all by yourself. Do you remember some of the prophets in the Old Testament? They all thought they was by themselves. And then God had to show them differently. Sometimes we forget. What has God given you a desire for? What has he given you a talent for? A gift for? What is it that gives you great pleasure when you look at it? You say, that felt good. That was good. Do you have a natural ability that maybe you're not using right now, or not using to the best of its benefit? You know, that may be your calling. That may be your way to serve God in his plan. God gives wisdom and understanding for everything he calls you to do. Don't get wrapped up in other things. In verse 12, I think it's through 18. He's now going to say, we can get caught up in things that we're doing so that we lose track of time. We get caught up in what we're doing, so enthusiastic with some of the things that we do that we don't want to stop. Have you ever had a kid that was good in athletics and they didn't want the game to end? Have you ever been I know I've had an aunt who was an artist and she loved to paint. And she would miss lunch a lot of times or supper because she was busy painting and she didn't want to quit. God says you're going to be enthusiastic about this when you see it start coming about. The thing we've been talking about for 40 days, the tabernacle. But I want you to remember the holy day of the week, the Sabbath. You are to keep it because that represents your relationship to me. Don't forget in doing the task who you're doing the tasks for. Stop. Keep the Sabbath day holy. You need the rest. You also need to commune with me. You need to have a relationship with me. So he's really going to reiterate to them how important it is that they keep up with the Sabbath day. Let's read that. Start at verse 12 in the 31st chapter. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak also to the children of Israel, saying, Surely my Sabbath you shall keep, for it's a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord who sanctifies you. Sabbath's not just a day of rest. It's a day of talking and worshiping with your Lord. Verse 14, You shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy to you. Everyone who profanes it shall surely be put to death, for whoever does any work on it, that person shall be cut off from among his people. Do you remember that as a Christian you are an example to others? They might not know you're a Christian, but you don't want them, when they find it out, to go, that person is a Christian? What you want them to say when they find out you're a Christian is just to shake their head and say, I knew there was something different about them. And that's because you commune and have a relationship with God. And verse 15, Work shall be done for 6 days, but the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath, he shall surely be put to death. Therefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations as a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and the Sabbath day he rested, and he was refreshed. This rule, as it is, does not apply to us in this day and time. You know why? Because this was to keep you at least one day a week, of communing with God, of listening to him, to worshiping him. And you're supposed to do that now, every day, not just the Sabbath, but every day. And as this side of the cross, we have elected to use our day of worship, corporate worship, to be on the first day of the week on Sunday. Remember why? It's because that's the day of the resurrection. It's to commemorate, to celebrate the resurrection. It's why we meet on Sundays. But the main thing that you need to do is that time, while every single body needs time to rest, more than rest, we need a time where we talk to our God and allow him to talk to us. Be quiet and listen and read His Word and ask Him, what are you trying to tell me in this Word? Help me to understand, Lord. And verse 18. Verse 18 is interesting to me. Verse 18 is thus. And when He had made an end of speaking, that's God, when He had made an end of speaking with him on Mount Sinai, He gave Moses 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone, written with the finger of God. Wonder what kind of penmanship God used when He wrote with His finger. Wonder what those characters looked like. Wonder how deep they were in the stone. Wonder how easy they were to read. There used to be a place in Pigeon Forge, or Gatlinburg rather, that had a garden, and they had a artist's rendition of the face of Christ, and it made no difference. It was relief. It wasn't forward. It was into the rock, and it didn't matter where you stood in that garden. If you could see that sculpture, it looked just like that sculpture was looking at you. It was fascinating to me. And I can only imagine what these tablets looked like. Can you imagine what they felt like? He gave Moses the 2 tablets. I wonder if He pointed them out, or if those tablets became visible to Moses at Moses' feet. I wonder what they felt like when Moses reached down and picked them up. I wonder if he picked one up and read it and turned it over and read the other side, and then picked up the other stone and read it and turned it over and read it on the other side. Can you imagine what that would have been like? It would have been fascinating. 40 days on this mountain. It has been a glorious blessing to him. God ministered to him during that time. He felt like there was neither day nor night. He didn't have to eat. God totally took care of him on that mountain. What a special blessing that was. But now what a special chore. He's almost ready to leave the mountain. He's almost ready to go down to where the 2.5 million people are waiting for him. It's been a long time since they saw him. Wonder what they've been doing. Let's study that next week. I hope you have a good week. Goodbye.